Hello, hello, hello. What up, gang? Long time no see. Long time no see. Mr. Chang, first as usual. Dude, you were first like substantially earlier than everybody else. Rayad, what up? Arjun, my dude. And Chaitra. Nice to see you guys. Sorry I've been out for so long. Feels like longer than 2 weeks to me. Feels like it's been like a month. Feels like a month. What's up, Ansh? Ansh? Let me get my situation set up here. You got a what does that mean? A pre-live notification? Does that mean like they tell you that I'm gonna stream when I set it? When I schedule it, they'll like fire off a notification saying like, Mr. Jones gonna go live later today. What up, Arnav? How you doing, man? Neil Kanth, good to see you too. Gita, hola. Athiksh, I don't know you, Athiksh. Athiksh? I don't think I've seen you around here before. What's going to be on the test tomorrow? My test is not tomorrow. My test is on Tuesday. And it's going to be on all things related to photosynthesis, cellular respiration, and some like cell cycle stuff, like a little bit of the basics, the real basics. We're talking the nitty gritty of cell cycle and mitosis and cancer, the real basics. I have to admit, I wasn't there, okay, when you guys did that stuff, so I wasn't able to like explain stuff in detail. So that'll be a little bit more on the general side, but we'll go over that in class on Monday. So when I come back tomorrow, we'll walk through the cell cycle stuff, like cell division and like regulation. We'll walk through cancer, all that stuff. Oh, you're Jed in your bed. What up, dude? Didn't recognize you with your real name on here. Arnav, what worksheets are due tomorrow? Nothing. Nothing is due, but you should bring all the ones you were working on while I was gone, because I'm going to go over... The Monday's just going to be a big, like, just debrief sesh. And we'll just go over everything and answer questions and make sure we understand the basics and, like, debrief some of the key ideas from there. That's the plan. Neil Kant, no Krebs cycle. I don't teach the details of cellular respiration and photosynthesis, so you don't need to know to the level of detail that some other teachers are doing it. Just know what we talked about in class, the basics of it, like what it's for, what are the reactants and products, like what organisms do what do they get out of it, that kind of stuff. Ansh. Yeah, like I said, you're not gonna. We don't need to know anything about the parts of cellular respiration, like glycolysis and stuff. And based off of the lab that you guys did in class, that little exercise lab, you should have realized that the more you do exercise, the more energy your body needs, right? So you need to make more ATP. So you have to do more cellular respiration to make the ATP. So cellular respiration should increase as you exercise more, because your body's the muscle cells in your body are doing cellular respiration to make that sweet ATP, that cache of the cell. Gotta get that ATP. Gita, thanks for asking. My knee is way better than it was 2 weeks ago. You know, like last week, right after the surgery, it was really painful. and I couldn't move. I had to stay in bed for a couple days. But now I'm walking around, I'm driving, I'm not even on crutches, so it's good. Thanks for asking. Manasa, I got my apple pie. I got a couple of slices. I had one slice from Mr. Gann. Mr. Gann, I stopped by Mr. Gann's house on Thanksgiving for some pie. He made some pumpkin and some apple, and I had a piece of them, a piece of both with a little vanilla ice cream on top. And I met his dog Echo, which was legit. I also went to Mr. H's Thanksgiving at his mom's house. I did a little dropping in at different teachers' houses. I was gonna go to Miss Frazier's house too, but some miscommunication. Chaitra, you want to know the answers to the Seek Share sign sheet? And can you give us the rubric for the cacti problem? Thanks. Did Mr. Panev show you the text that I wrote out for the answer to the cactus problem? Because I had written out like a big old answer that I thought was really good. I will email that out. I think I can email that to you guys. All right, let's see. What else we got going on here? Neil Kant, you want to know about sister chromatids? Kaushal, you want to know about sister chromatids too? So sister chromatids, so let's pull up a picture so that we can get on the same page here. So let's do this. All right, pull this up over here. So, yeah. So when you have, this is a good diagram. So when you have an image like this that you're looking at, and what you're looking at here is like one chromosome. All right, so let's say this is chromosome number 1. You have 2 copies of it. You have one from your mom and one from your dad. So this is, let's say the purple is the one from your mom and the pink is the one from your dad. So when a cell is gonna divide, it has to make a copy of both versions. It has to make a copy of your mom's and your dad's. So when it does that, they duplicate the chromosomes. And when you have an exact copy of each one, those 2 are called sister chromatids. So basically a sister chromatid is just an exact replica of one chromosome from one parent. Okay? Does that make sense? That's what a sister chromatid is. And then let's see, Aditya, you had a question about the difference between spongy and palisade mesophyll. The difference is just what their location in the leaf. So palisade is on the top of a leaf. The spongy mesophyll is on the bottom. And you'd find most of the photosynthesis happening in the palisades because that's where the sun hits. And there's a lot more chloroplasts to capture the light to do more photosynthesis. And then in the bottom, you have the spongy mesophyll, which is a little bit less densely packed with chloroplasts, and there's more air pockets in it, so that CO2 can come in through the stomata, which are on the bottom side of the leaf. Yes, Geeta, you got that right. Thanks for the explanation. Let's see. Ansh, what gases enter and exit the stomata? Is it only water vapor, carbon dioxide, and oxygen? Yes, those are the 3. Yep. Those 3. Aditya, Warframe is a good game. I'll take a look. Kelly, what up, Kelly? How are you doing? What are some indirect causes of deforestation other than poverty? Indirect causes of deforestation other than poverty. Good question. So poverty is one. Let's see, lack of regulation. So poor governmental control over the laws and rules governing forests and what can and cannot be done on them. Lack of education, right, amongst the population that's utilizing the forest. What else would be an indirect cause of deforestation? Lack of just general interest in preserving the forest, right? So a lot of times if you're talking about like a really, and I guess that's kind of related to poverty a little bit, the idea that is if you have a very impoverished area that relies on the forest for their livelihood or their way of life, they're typically going to regard the forest more as a commodity, you know, for money to buy food and, you know, make a living, then they are going to regard it as a important ecosystem to preserve. But yeah, but poverty is the big one, and then you've got things like lack of governmental control or regulation, lack of education and knowledge about biodiversity and preserving the environment, those kinds of things. Good question. What up, Chance? Chance, how you doing, man? You asked, what's an example of something outside the cell that would speed up cell division? So let's see. Basically anything outside, so like a cell would start to divide if, so normally cells are really compact against each other, and that will stop their growth. But if you create space around a cell, it will typically divide fast to fill up that space. So lack of other cells touching it is a good example of an outside factor that could increase cell division. Yeah, good, Aditya. Good answers. Yep, like a wound or a cut is a good example. A good example of an external condition that would slow down cell division would be cells crowding. So as cells divide, if you get more cells like pushing on it, it usually stops the cell because the cell doesn't want to divide to a point where it's overcrowding the area with cells. So other cells around it will sort of impinge on its ability to divide. Well, not impinge, but will impact and slow down its ability to divide. An internal condition that would slow it down would be if something went wrong during the cell cycle, or let's say that the cell was going to divide and there was an error with separating the chromosomes, or there was like some damage to the DNA. Hopefully, one of the checkpoints in the cell cycle would catch that and say, so let's slow down and try and repair this, and that would slow the cell cycle down as well. Tanini, that's a really good answer. Thanks for helping Kaushal out. That is true. That is very true. Avoiding excessive cell growth. Yeah, because that's how you get cancer, remember. So one of the reasons why cancer is just such a vicious disease is because it does not abide by the normal laws and rules of being a cell. So even if it's like dividing and dividing and it's bumping into all the neighboring cells, it just continues to divide and forms this giant tumor, right? So that'd be an abnormal cell division situation. Neil Kant, how is photosynthesis connected to CR? I don't understand in plants. What happens to the CO2 after CR happens in plants? So, I mean, let's see, like how is photosynthesis and cellular respiration related? So let's see, I like the pictures. Actually, I don't like that one that much. Let's look at the image real quick. What's a good image? This one. This one's not bad. This is too small. Tiny picture. Here we go. Take a peek. This is how they're related. Neil Kant. So notice that first you have the chloroplast, right? So light energy comes in, hits the chloroplast. It does its thing. It does photosynthesis. It takes that light energy and turns it into glucose, which is sugar, and also produces oxygen as a byproduct. And then in the plant also has mitochondria too. So it will take that glucose and use it to make ATP in the mitochondria, and the oxygen could be used as well. And that produces water and CO2. The CO2 is most likely, it might get used a little bit by the chloroplast to do photosynthesis again, but you know, it also might just go out of the stomata and leave, no pun intended, leave. But the idea here is that you have this sort of cyclical pattern that could form. Does that make sense? Thanks, Kelly. My knee is feeling better. I appreciate that. Let's see what else. What else? Dark matter. What up, dude? What are you asking about? Overpopulation? Do I think overpopulation would end up having? Do you think that overpopulation would end up having to be taken into government matters, like in the movie The Purge? Oh, jeez. Do I think overpopulation would have to be taken into the... That's a good question, man. I don't know. I haven't ever thought about that. I think pretty much, I mean, if it gets to the point of overpopulation, things are going to get pretty rough. Like if resources become so scarce, you're going to have real, there's not going to be government, government could fall apart at a certain point when you have people like being overpopulated to the point in which they have to like scramble for resources. You can get some real dark stuff. But I mean, potentially, it potentially could happen. I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about right now. Let's see. Heckle, do we need to know fermentation? And no, you do not need to know fermentation, and you do not need to know mitosis and meiosis individual steps, at least not for my class. So that's my caveat. It's not for my class, but maybe for others. What up, Aman? How are you doing? For the study, you're asking about the study guide question about the lionfish. Yeah, what about it? Oh, I see you posted down here further. Why is the lionfish considered by many marine ecologists to be the perfect invasive species? Is it due to the fact that it has no predators as a whole? Yes, it has no predators, right, because it's invasive, so there's no natural predators. Allowing it to control the population it is involved with, or is there another reason for being the perfect invasive species? Well, it has no natural predators. It's also a generalist kind of a species, so it's able to sort of adapt pretty well to the new environment. You know, it also has protective spines that make it hard to be attacked, you know, by any predators that might be in the area. And it has, you know, yeah, those are all the things that make it true. All right, what other questions? Ansh, do spindle fibers attach to the... You don't need to know that level of detail, Ansh. You do not need to know what phase of mitosis spindle fibers attach. We're not going to get into that level of detail in my class for the steps. If cancer cells were left out of the body for long enough, will they eventually die out on their own due to lack of energy or any other factor like that? Yeah, I mean, any cell, if it doesn't get resources, will die. So if you just leave a cancer cell, like if you cut someone's tumor out and just leave it on like a table, it's going to die because it doesn't have glucose, or it's not getting glucose. It doesn't have sugar. Magnus. What up, Magnus? How you been, man? You got a question. Is it enough to know everything on the Unit 4 review guide, or we need to know stuff outside of the review guide? That review guide is pretty comprehensive. I can't guarantee you that it's perfect. There might be some things here and there, but that review guide is pretty... I wrote that thing as I was writing the test last week, or last year, and I really changed the test just a few things this year because of the fact I wasn't there. But mostly it's going to be pretty aligned. So if you know that, you'd be pretty good to go. Also, you know, think about like the chapters we read too. I mean, that review guide was meant to cover those chapters, but for the most part, it's pretty aligned. David, what up, David? How are you? are crown fires and surface fires usually started by natural causes. Surface fires usually caused naturally. Crown fires can be natural, can also be human caused. Surface fires are healthier fires because they create secondary succession and they leave the tall developed trees behind. So Kaushal, I'm not going to go over what happens to each cell at each stage of cell division because that's not, you don't need to know that level of detail. Okay, you do not need to know what happens at each step along the cycle. What you need to know is that the cell cycle is the cell's life, and it has general patterns, like the cell will grow, right? It will get to a point where it gets big enough, it will copy its DNA to get ready to divide, and then it goes through the division process, which is called mitosis, where the chromosomes are separated equally and the cell becomes two. Okay, and from that you need to know that the cell has to regulate that process and check in along the way throughout the cell cycle to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, right? So that's the idea of cell cycle regulation, and the cell has different ways to do that, which we learned in the video lecture. And then if those things go wrong, you can get something called cancer, right? So that I want you to know those big picture concepts. I don't need you to know individual details of the steps. I really don't. So I'm going to kind of just quickly bypass that. And it looks like Aditya is all over the cell cycle right now with just his explanations for everything. Aditya, you're overachieving to a level that makes me very happy. So appreciate you. I appreciate you. Mr. Petev, thanks for coming in with the lionfish info. Good stuff. Chaitra, what are some differences between transpiration and photosynthesis? Well, they're very different. Transpiration is just the evaporation of water out of a leaf, and it's useful to get water to the leaf to do photosynthesis, which is the process of taking light, water, and carbon dioxide and making sugar. So transpiration and photosynthesis are only related insofar as transpiration is useful for getting water up to the leaf where it can be used in photosynthesis. But there's not really much else between them that you can really make connections. Neelkant, how long does telomerase last for? Telomerase is an enzyme. It doesn't really last for any given amount of time. It's just useful for, what up, Andrew? Good to see you, man. It's been a while. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. I hope you're doing well. Been a long time, man. Yeah, so telomerase is just an enzyme that can help preserve telomere length for longer. And as far as cell cycle regulation stuff, yeah, you got to know p53 and cyclins are the two main things that regulate it. Ansh, if cancer is just cells reproducing quickly and ignoring cell regulators, why are they so dangerous? Good question. So cancer cells are a little bit more than just reproducing quickly and ignoring cell regulators. They also start to do some crazy stuff where they start to recruit blood vessels to themselves to get more and more nutrients. And then they can also start to metastasize, where pieces of the tumor will break off and go start satellite tumors in other parts of the body. So why is this dangerous? It's because it starts to hoard nutrients for the tumor. And that means that the flow of blood and the availability of nutrients, let's say I have a tumor in my liver, that tumor is going to be taking all of the nutrients, and there's not going to be any left for the normal liver cells. And so my function of my liver starts to shut down, and I can die, right? So that's what the issue is. So Andrew, you have trouble thinking of underlying and direct causes of deforestation. What I currently have listed are global warming for underlying and plantations and crown fires for direct causes. So, good question. I kind of answered this a little bit when Kelly asked it earlier. But the idea is like, if you're talking about like, I don't know, like the underlying causes of deforestation, these are things, when I say underlying, I mean, it's not the things that are actually cutting the trees down. So like a direct cause of deforestation would be like plantations where you're actually clear cutting to make room to grow crops. Or logging would be a direct cause of deforestation, right? Yes, or forest fires, crown fires would be another example. Underlying or indirect causes, these are things that are a little bit like will lead to deforestation, but not directly, right? So like poverty is a good example of an underlying cause of deforestation, because people that are impoverished tend to look at a forest more for its resources, like how can they extract as much resources from the forest to generate a living for themselves, and so that can cause them to deforest more. Another example of an underlying cause would be lack of governmental regulation, not enforcing rules to govern the forest, so people will go and cut the forest down. It's an indirect cause. Or you know, lack of education surrounding how to maintain forests and do sustainable logging and things like that. So that's what I mean by the difference between underlying and direct. Does that make sense? Does that make a sense? Mr. Jones, I don't get what the limiting factor for plants in a rainforest would be. Limiting factor for plants in a rainforest is light, Aditya, because there's so many of them that it's a competition to get light. Hey, Sophia's in there. Hey, Sophia. Who else? Neil Conf, I'm not sure what A-level question you're referring to. Where does the lost weight go? Can you elaborate? I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. Did I go mute? Did I go mute? No, I shouldn't. It shouldn't be muted. Neil Conf. It might just be your laptop. It might just be your laptop. Let's see. I might have missed a couple questions. I'm trying to catch up to the chat head, the front of the chat wave, so to speak. So that's the issue. I might have fallen behind a little bit, and I skipped some people. So re-ask if I didn't answer your question already. Well, let's see. Can someone please explain the way guard cells close and open? Okay. So the way guard cells close and open is just by osmosis of water going in and out. So like a guard cell will swell up and open when water goes into the cell, and it will cause just by the physical structure of the cell swelling up, it opens up the stomata. And when water leaves, it shrivels, closing the stomata. So one of the ways in which plants will open and close their stomata is by moving water in and out of their cell, of the guard cells. So it's all about water pressure. Keshav or Keshav, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Hopefully I'm getting that right. Keshav. You're asking to explain the process of how chromosomes form and divide. So the process of chromosomes form and divide. So what happens is a chromosome is so humans have, this is kind of a long one. So humans have a set of chromosomes, right? We have 40, well, we have a total of 23 chromosomes, but we have one from mom and one from dad, so we have 46, because we have 2 of each of the 23. And so when the cell is going to divide, it's going to take those chromosomes and it's going to condense them into nice, distinct packets. So normally it's all kind of spread out, and it looks like something called chromatin. And a really good picture of this is something like, I guess this one, maybe. So basically, this is a crappy picture. It's not a great one. That is not. This is probably a better one. So normally when you have your, DNA, it's all like stringy, right? It's like this giant string. So it's like almost like, imagine like a bowl of pasta, a bowl of cooked pasta. It's all mixed. So all 23 or 46 of those chromosomes are all mixed together. And so what the cell wants to do, if the cell wants to make a copy of those chromosomes, it's hard to make a copy when they're all mixed together. So what it's going to do is it's going to condense each of those chromosomes into a little packet that look like this over here on the left of the diagram. So on the right side, this is like your cooked spaghetti that's all mixed together, and then the chromosome condenses to form a very solid condensed bundle. And so then you have 46 of those, right? And then it's easier to separate them, so you have half go to one cell and half go to the other cell as the cell divides. Hopefully that made sense. It's hard to explain in a quick way, so hopefully I did it a little bit of justice. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. What else? Who else is asking some stuff on here? What up, Ria? Oh, hey, Ritvi, I see you in there too. What up, Ritvi? Ria, you're saying, why is it important? I just answered that. Why is it important for chromosomes to condense and separate before they divide? I answered that, so hopefully that was good. Kaushal, P53 checks if the parent cell is okay for cell division, and cyclins actually allow it. Yes, that is true. Very, very good. Correctamundo, Kaushal. Sophia, what is happening when a person loses weight, and where does it go? Okay, so remember, our cells, our muscle cells, and our cells in general use glucose, right, during cellular respiration to make ATP, which allows us to move or do stuff. We need ATP for our cells to do things. If I eat too much, I take in too many calories, I eat too much sugar or whatever, I'm going to store that as fat, right? And so that puts more weight on my body. If I reduce the amount I eat, my body will then start using up the fat and turning the fat into glucose, and then use the glucose to make ATP. And so as it uses up more and more fat, I lose weight. So where does that fat go? You actually exhale it. Because remember, one of the byproducts of cellular respiration is carbon dioxide. Right? So literally, you're exhaling out your weight. Right? This is why if you exercise, you breathe faster. So you exhale more carbon dioxide, which means you're losing more weight. This is the one that always blows people's mind when they think about it. So every time you exhale, you're blowing out a little bit of carbon dioxide. That carbon in the carbon dioxide was part of a glucose. And that glucose could have been something you ate, or it could have been made from fat. So every time you exhale, you're losing a little bit of weight. And so when you start running, you need to make more ATP. You start breathing faster and faster, so you're losing weight quicker. So a really easy connection is the faster you breathe, typically the more weight you lose. Although it is a little bit weird to, although I don't want you just to hyperventilate right now. I don't want people sitting there going like, your parents walk in, what are you doing? Mom, I'm losing weight. You just sort of pass out. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, what are some other questions here? So hopefully I answered the whole losing weight question a little bit there. What up, Ashok? We're doing a lot of bio, but APES is more than welcome. Fire away, my dude. Nice to see you, Ashok. Appreciate you stopping in. Doing bio and APES. I've definitely had more bio questions, and I think that's just because bio students are using this live stream way more than APE students, and I don't know why that is. I'm thinking it's because APE students feel like they're probably just more independent with their studying because they're older, they're juniors and seniors, whereas bio is freshmen, and so they're like super eager to like get stuff answered. I don't know. That's my guess. I could be way wrong. All right, looks like I caught up. Some of the questions slowed down a little bit. Some rapid fire questions there for the first half hour or so. I might be able to get a chance to play Undertale. So I stopped playing Undertale last time on this boss on the and I want to beat the boss. I want to beat the boss. I'm thinking I might take this quick pause to get some water. So I'm going to get some water in my Erlenmeyer flask. What color should I make it? You guys pick a color, then I'll make my water that color. That's my gimmick. It's my new gimmick. It's the color, the water color. Oh, by the way, guys, me and Mr. Hajaran, we went 50-50. We went splitsies. We went halvesies. We went Dutch on a PS4. And I got Red Dead Redemption 2, and he wants to get Madden, and I'm going to get Destiny 2. Alright, what color water? We got purple coming in strong. Andrew wants blue, but a lot of purple. But it's just basically just Gita spamming purple. Oh. Green for chlorophyll. Yeah, I'm worried, Keshav, about yellow because then I worry that people will just think I'm drinking my own urine, and that could be a real issue. We got a lot of blue. Green. Dang, I wish there was a poll function so I could actually get some data here, but purple kind of fell off. It's looking strong. I got a lot of blue, green. Here's what I'll do. Because I haven't been at Monte Vista in a while, we'll do purple for Monte Vista. I think that's fair. We'll do purple. Yellow, I'm gonna leave leave yellow off the table for right now. Alright, I'll be back. I'm gonna get some purple water and I'll BRB for re. That's true, DT. It is gold too, but I can't do purple and gold. It would just, I think if I mixed yellow and purple, we would end up with brown water, and that's a little bit worse than drinking pee. Okay. So in order to make purple water, right, we got to combine red and blue. If I remember my color wheel correctly, I will say I'm pretty strong with colors. I'm pretty strong. I'd say I'm a pretty good student when it comes to colors. So I got a little bit of red dye and a little bit of purple or blue dye. So we'll do like what do we think, like a drop, like maybe just 2 drops of blue, 2 drops of red, and that should give us a purple water. Give it a little swirl. Kind of hard to see. It looks probably more black for you guys, but it's purple. Trust me. Yeah, the problem with purple is it comes out looking a little dark. Yeah, it's black. Does that look purple to you guys? I mean, kinda, right? I gotta. I should do. I should do one drop of each color. All right. I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. I'm pretty sure I did as I look back over this. Is transpiration pull stronger in plants or capillary action? I don't know. I would guess transpiration, but I'm not sure. Charvy, does anyone know what parts of the blue sheet is on the test? What blue sheet are you talking about, Charvy? Are you talking about the resource guide? It's everything that we didn't cover on the part 1 unit test. So it's everything after. Remember we went over it and we marked where the cutoff was for the first part of the unit? Just find that mark and then everything after that. Neil Kant, do you mind going over the glucose to ATP analogy again and capillary action? What do you mean the glucose to ATP analogy? The analogy I made was like glucose was like, I made like a money analogy. I said glucose was kind of like your savings account / bank account, where the money in your bank account's not directly accessible. You have to like remove it first and get some cash out or have a credit card or something. And so the ATP is like the cash where it's like you could use it immediately. And so what cellular respiration does is it converts glucose into ATP. So the cellular respiration is almost like an ATM machine. It takes glucose, which you have stored, and turns it into ATP. Capillary action is just when water sort of creeps up a thin tube, which in the plant you would say is like a xylem. Like water will creep up the side of that and it allows the water to get higher and higher and higher up that tube, which helps keep the water moving up a plant's xylem. Gita, how is cellular respiration related to cancerous cells? Well, cancerous cells are going to do cellular respiration more because they're going to be dividing faster. And so tumors are notoriously greedy for oxygen and glucose because they just want to just divide and divide and divide and divide. So they're going to do cellular respiration faster. What's all this stuff about a chair? What's going on with this chair meme that has developed? What else here? Oh, Shivani. What's up, Shivani? Shivani, I have to give you big props for your emails, your checking in emails. I really appreciated that. So, thank you. That was sweet of you. Do forests treat waste? Yes, they do. Right? So forests will treat waste because they are an ecosystem. And so remember at the beginning of the year, I talked about in a natural situation without humans, there would be no waste because everything's in balance in the natural cycle. Right? So any waste from one organism is going to be usable by another organism, right? Because all of the organisms evolved over time to capitalize on each other and work in a very symbiotic and connected way. So yeah, for sure that forests treat waste. The way they do that is they can filter water, right? So plants can absorb the nitrogens and phosphoruses from the water, if that would be like fertilizer waste. Like sewage waste can be decomposed by bacteria in the soil and returned to the natural system. And like particles in the water can be caught in the soil and it can be as the water filters through the soil. So forests are very good at treating waste. Yeah, for sure. Good question. I'm sorry I didn't get to that earlier. And what do I miss? I want to make sure I didn't miss some questions because, oh, here we go. Um, Andrew, what up, Andrew? Andrew, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Do we need to know specific types of fishing strategies? Yes. So there's a chart on the back of the Unit 4 review guide. Oh, wait. There's a chart, I believe, somewhere on the Unit 4 review guide that talks about like long line fishing, trawling, purse seine, those kinds of techniques, fishing techniques. You should kind of know them a little bit in the sense of like which ones are pretty rough on the environment. So like trawling, we know, is a really rough one because it just sort of scrapes along the bottom and just sort of disturbs the whole ecosystem down there. And then obviously things like these giant the nets, the big nets that will do a lot of bycatch. So essentially what you should kind of know is which techniques are going to result in more bycatch and more damage. Dark matter, do I think soylent is a viable option as a nutrient supplement? Yeah, sure, it's viable. Is it something that I would ever consider? No, because it doesn't taste very good. And I enjoy food too much. Magnus, is there going to be matching vocab on the Unit 4 exam? No, I don't think so. I do not believe so. But there's definitely some multiple choice questions that involve vocab, for sure. Chaitra, how are mitochondria and chloroplasts related but different from each other? They're different because they do two different processes. One does photosynthesis and one does cellular respiration. But they're related because the glucose that is produced by the photosynthesis in the chloroplast is used by the mitochondria. So the product of the chloroplast is used as the reactant of the mitochondria. Did the sub tell you guys stories about hamburgers? What did he say about hamburgers? He emailed me, and it was a funny email that he sent me, the way he wrote it. I don't really know him very well. I actually don't know him at all. Bob Kuchar. Let's see. What else? Oh, geez, I missed some stuff. Crap. Oh, the chair thing because of the spinning? So that's what I want to spin. One of my goals is to have, I need some people to stay after school with me and help me do a situation where I can get all the stools spinning on the desk at once. I want to take a picture of it and put it, or not picture, a little video, put it on my Instagram. I can't do it by myself because I can't get around to them all fast enough before the first one stops spinning. But I think we'll have to do that sometime. Okay, I'm going to try and catch up here. Oh my gosh. OMG. Oh my Dios. Alright, so the spinning chair is a thing. Okay. Mr. Penna with the hashtag chair PTSD. Those stools, when they fall over, it's like an atomic bomb goes off. I get heart palpitations. Whenever a student like stands up and they knock their stool back and it lands on the on this floor, I go like, oh my god. I go, oh, jeez, oh, gave me a heart attack. Chaitra, yes, I will be going over anything and everything on Monday. It's going to be a complete review day. It's going to be an AMA for all things Unit 2, Part 2. Andrew, no, you're not turning in the study guide. What's up, Nyanika? Thanks for coming in. Oh man, a lot of these questions I'm kind of not quite being able to answer because there's just too many. Angiogenesis, Rithi. Angiogenesis is basically when you have a tumor that's reached a certain stage or certain severity level in which it's now starting to recruit blood vessels to itself. It's starting to hog all the blood in your body. Andrew, how much detail do you need to know from the aquatic biodiversity threats presentation? As much detail as I asked you to look at as to make that fill out that chart on the Unit 4 review guide. So you should kind of have a general idea of what it is, like be able to kind of just differentiate it from the others as far as what it actually is, why it's an issue, and like what is one solution that could be used to help with it. But as far as high detail, not so much. Not so much. And I forgot to email out something to you guys, so I'm going to try and remind myself. All right. Let's see. Kelly, what is purse seine fishing? Is it considered a good fishing method or a bad one? Purse seine, it's basically when you have like a net that you can sort of close the top, like a drawstring on the top, and scoop stuff up. It can be sustainable, depends on how big you're doing it. But you're going to get some bycatch with it, especially when they use giant ones in certain fishing operations. Catch up with everything. Well, since I have one moderator, it's my OG moderator, Nyanika. She's been back since the day. She's the original gangsta. Charvi, you do not need to know the Calvin and Krebs cycle. Do not need to know it. Neelkanth, when does the stomata open and close? That one, there's a lot of, there's different conditions, right? So the stomata is going to open when the conditions favor photosynthesis, because it's going to want to bring in CO2, right? So imagine this. You've got a leaf in the environment. One of the things that a leaf has to worry about is when it opens its stomata is losing too much water. So if it's too hot, too dry, and too windy, it's going to mean a lot of water is going to run out of the stomata due to transpiration. So it's probably going to close its stomata or some of its stomata to preserve water. If, on the other hand, it's a humid day, right, it's not so windy, then most likely the plant's not going to worry about having too much water leave. So it'll open its stomata to take in CO2. So opening and closing the stomata for a plant is all about balancing the intake of carbon dioxide and the loss of water in a sustainable way. Ranger Will, there will be streams tomorrow. I know Mr. Hajarian is doing a stream tomorrow. Other than that, I don't know. I'm doing mine tonight because I have an APES test tomorrow, and then I have my bio test on Tuesday. DJ, how do you become a moderator? You got to you have to do a lot. You have to be a TA, and you have to become a trusted accomplice. And you're off to a good start, I'll tell you that, with how engaged in the chat you are and how on point you are with a lot of your explanations for our students. So, let's see. Anch, are there only 4 limiting factors? Are there only 4 limiting factors? Let's see. Wait, what do you mean by that? For what? Limiting factors for what? Are you talking about for photosynthesis? Rayad, what do you cell cycle? Question mark. What's your question? Yeah, humidity is the amount of moisture in the air. Right? If it's 100% humid out, that means that the air is holding as much water as it physically can. If it's 0% humidity, that means that there's no moisture in the air, which is just basically impossible. But what's up, Sophia? Nice to see you. Look, what's your question? You are asking, are slower winds an ecosystem service that forests provide? Yeah, I mean technically, yeah, because I mean if you imagine if you're living in a forest, the winds you're going to be buffered, and that could be considered a benefit to a human, right? Yeah, you could make that case. You could make that case. Keshav, what are the 3 reasons for cells undergoing mitosis? Well, one is to replace cells that have died or have been damaged. 2, to reduce DNA overload. And 3, to reduce the surface area to volume ratio. Rayad, do you want me to explain the cell cycle? I mean, that's a lot to explain. Anything in particular? Chromatin? Like the first stage? Like why is it called chromatin? Why is it called? It's just the name we give it. Chromatin is basically DNA that's uncondensed, and it's just sort of in that spaghetti-like form that I was talking about earlier. And that's the way it's found in the first stage. And it's uncondensed in the beginning of the cell cycle because it's when it's uncondensed, the cell can use it easier, right? And then when it gets condensed, it's easier to divide, but it's less accessible. So the cell will leave it uncondensed when it's growing and doing its normal thing, and then when it's going to divide, it will condense that chromatin into chromosomes, and then they will be easily separated. And then so on, she's talking about transpiration, the 4 limiting factors for transpiration. The 4 limiting factors. So you mean like the 4 things that affect transpiration? It's going to be humidity, temperature, wind, humidity, temperature, wind. I don't know what the 4th one is. Shoot. Light intensity? Ansh? I mean, I guess that might work. Yeah, that's fair. Throw that one in there. Can you please explain a surface area to volume ratio? Yeah, I can. So that's a tough one. That's hard. Surface area to volume ratio is always tricky to get across the idea. But basically, what you should really know, just the basic idea here is that in living things, surface area to volume ratio is an important physical characteristic, and typically, as something gets larger, right, and it maintains its same shape as it gets larger, its surface area to volume ratio goes down. And what that basically means is that there's more of the thing is on the inside, more of the thing. This is so hard to explain. Less of the thing is exposed to the outside, right? So as something gets bigger, more of it is protected on the inside and not exposed to the outside. And so in biology, a lot of times we want processes to go faster. We need to keep the surface area to volume ratio lower. And that was a terrible job of explaining that, and I apologize. And that's a hard one to explain. Palash, if you memorize the study guide you gave us, will we be 100% prepared for the test tomorrow? No, I don't think you will be. If that's all you do, because I don't think that will help you too much. And I agree with Mr. Penev. Go ahead, I dare you. Just take a pick, a brain pick. Let's see, what's the difference between chromatin, chromatin, and chromosomes? So a chromatid. So a chromatin is like uncondensed genetic material that's just sort of floating around, and it's not in a really like condensed shape. And then chromatids are when it's condensed, more so when it's condensed, and so you have chromatin, and then when it condenses, it forms like these chromosomes that, when they get copied, form two chromatids. So let me show you a picture. This might be the best way to explain it. Chromosome versus chromatid versus chromatin. Let's see if someone's gotten a good picture. This is too complex. That picture's not what I want. Here we go. This is a good one. So chromatin is uncondensed, chromosome is condensed, and a chromatid is one of the doubled chromosomes. One copy of a chromosome. Hopefully that makes sense. What else? Oh, what up, Justin? Thanks for coming on. You have a question about why are we living in the Anthropocene era? What that? So the word Anthropocene. So anytime. So here's something you should just know in APES. Like always, just know this. The word anthro, when it's at the beginning of any word, it basically means human. It's a human. Like when we talk about like anthropology, the study of humans. So Anthropocene means it's the human era. And what that means is that we're living in the age of humans, which means that most of the environmental issues and changes to the earth and the environment humans have a role in them, either causing them or speeding them up or changing them. And so this era is considered the human era. And it really hasn't been around that long, because humans came into existence at most about 300,000 years ago. And in our current form of like sort of technology and ability to manipulate the environment, only about really only a couple hundred years, to be honest. Thanks, Nyanika, for helping out with that surface area to volume stuff. I had real trouble explaining it. Good. That's good. Salmon. What is the difference between an ecological service and an economic service? You thought an ecological service included human economic benefits like employment, but the book defines them separately. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point. It's a good question. Things get a little bit weird. Like here, I'll be honest with you. Like different sources are going to define these terms differently, and so there's some sort of ambiguity to it. But I think you can't really go wrong with just remembering that when we talk about environmental services, like ecosystem services, we need to consider that it incorporates both services that humans benefit directly from and services that humans benefit indirectly from, right? So, but if you break an ecosystem service, if you talk about ecological and economic, if you're making that distinction, then what that basically means is that the economic services are the ones that humans directly benefit from, i.e. the resources. So like a forest, it would be timber, lumber, right? And the ecological service would be maybe things that we benefit indirectly from, right? Like production of oxygen, or it's stuff that we benefit from indirectly that's not related to money or like that kind of thing. Sophia. Bop, 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 bop. In a review guide for APES, we had to fill out a section for all fishing methods, but we can just focus on one, right? I mean, you should know the gist of the differences between them. I want you to know a little bit of the differences for this test. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Mr. P, for your answer, for helping out Sophia. Good stuff. All right. What up, Mahit? Mahit, I like how you call yourself the GOAT. I feel like it's tricky to call yourself the GOAT. Oh, what is water potential? I didn't see that question. What is water potential? Water potential it's like the potential for work to be done by the movement of water. Kind of, if that makes sense. Right, water is going to move from one way to the other due to osmosis, so it has the potential to move. All right. Osmotic pressure is the minimum pressure which needs to be applied. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to have you guys know osmotic pressure to such a high level of detail. So, but everything that you guys are explaining is correct. Already. What time? What is the TM? 9:12 p.m. Justin, what are threats to national parks? The biggest threat is popularity. So when we talked, remember there was a slide I went over in the PowerPoint about the idea that like when you have a lot of people visiting these national parks, you get a lot of things like people going off the given trails so they can sort of trample things. There's noise pollution that can happen from them. Fires can be started because people don't deal with their campfires correctly. Just like littering is an issue. Yeah, so it's the real problem is that its popularity is the big issue for national parks. There's just so many people going there. Do you want me to go over parts of a chromosome? I mean, you don't need, there's not much to know. I mean, there's the centromere, which is the part in the middle where the two chromatids are connected, right? So very simple. That's it. Centromere is the part that holds the two chromatids together, and this is the whole chromosome. Very simple. I think. Sorry guys, 1 second. I just forgot to send something. All right. Let's see. Let me get back to this. What did I miss? David, what is the difference between drift netting and purse seine fishing methods? Good question. So the difference is okay. So just in general, purse seine is when you use a big net, right, and you sort of scoop up fish from the bottom up and then seal the top, almost like a drawstring at the top, and you pull it out of the water. Drift netting is where you leave the nets drifting on the surface and just leave them there for fish to run into. Drift netting is much more environmentally unsustainable because you're just leaving the nets out there and any fish can run into it, whereas typically with purse seine fishing, you're targeting a school of fish. Although you can still get bycatch with purse seine fishing, typically it's less so because you are actually like being more specific with where you're catching them. And the other problem with drift netting is some of those nets can get cut and get lost at sea and get tangled up in the sea life. Good question. Arnav, what's up, Arnav? Thanks for stopping in, my dude. What is the lionfish? Why is the lionfish considered? Okay, I answered this already earlier, and Mr. Penna made a good response for it. But the idea is that lionfishes are perfect invasive species because they have no natural predators, and they are what you would consider a little bit more on the R strategist side as a generalist species. So they reproduce quickly, they have a lot of offspring, and they reach maturity quickly. So they're able to reproduce fast. And so that's kind of what we would consider them to be, a very perfect invasive species. All right. Looks like I caught up a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a little bit of, I'm going to beat this boss. And I'll still answer your questions. But for right now, I'm switching over. Oh, shoot. Oops. Is that what I was trying to do now? There we go. Okay. Okay, so I played this boss a couple times and got beat up a little bit. So let's see if I can remember. I was starting to get into a rhythm, but I think I forgot. I'm gonna have to like try again. That's right. Okay. Oh yeah, this is how. Okay. That wasn't such a good hit. There we go. Smells like sushi. That was a good hit. Alright, it's gonna start to get tricky. Oh, jeez. Oh, god dang. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. That's bad. Oh, wait, wait, wait. I've already made some bad errors. See, that one, I don't even know. I might have to use an item here. Spider cider. Actually, I could have waited a little bit on that. Might have wasted it. God, that was terrible. What up, Michael? What's your question? In relation to the indirect causes of deforestation, could you talk about education and regulation? Indeed you could, my man. Education, regulation, and then also poverty, economic situation. So typically countries or communities that are poor, right, financially, poor educationally, and there's not much regulation or laws, are going to have deforestation. Got it? You're right on. And it's an indirect, right? Because it leads to deforestation. It doesn't directly cause it. Oh, I thought it was over. Oh, shoot. Neil Conth, Mr. Jones, so chromatin is the combination of DNA and protein molecules, while chromatid is one strand of the... Yes, correct. Fist bump. You are correct. Magnus, can I explain what aquaculture is? Yeah, aquaculture is basically like, it's just like farming in the ocean, basically. Like, imagine if you wanted to have like farm-raised salmon, or sometimes they can do like oysters or mussels. So it's basically humans controlling a controlled environment, raising of fish, or shellfish. So it's a fishing technique, basically, but it's a controlled one. You know what I mean? Sophia, is water withdrawal from marine or freshwater both? It's for fresh. Yeah, we don't really withdraw water from marine systems because we wouldn't really have a use for it because it's too salty. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like, you couldn't drink it, you couldn't use it for agriculture. It'd be pretty pointless to extract water from that. So, yeah, it's fresh only. Mainly from like aquifers or damming up and causing reservoirs. But that's more related to the dams. Yeah, there's no bycatch, Magnus, because you're growing. It's all intended because it's directed by a human, right? So there's no bycatch. Alrighty then, let's see if we can not die to this guy. Or this gal, rather. Yeah, she still has half her health. Dude. Those yellow ones are tricky. I need a bandage. What do I need? Oh shoot, I'm out of stuff. I might have to go back and buy more stuff to heal me because I suck at this game so much that I can't get through it quickly. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I got so close to beating her last time I played. Oh, that was a slick one. That was slick. Alright. Neil Conth. Yeah. Multiple choice. Multiple choice, so... Wait, did I get back all my stuff? I did. I have astronaut food. I don't know if I can make it through that without getting more, let's see. I'll BRB. Looks like the questions are kind of winding down. But I'm gonna try and beat this. I'm gonna call it a night once I beat this boss. But I have to go all the way back because I need to buy some more stuff to heal myself. But I forget where I can go. Let's walk all the way back this way. Get out of here. I forgot how far back it is to get to someone where I can get more health stuff. What? It's not letting me flee this time? Alright, so if I remember correctly, there was someone who sold nice cream back here. Right? Wasn't there? Right up in here? Oh no, this is a guy who sells what? No, hold on. Oh, buy. I want to buy. Looks heals 18 HP, 10 HP. I'll buy you some crab apples. Oh, that's all I can carry. So apparently that's all I can carry, so I'm going to have to deal with... I'm going to have to be able to beat this boss with very limited health buffs. Oops. Dead end. Oh. This is like, this is really annoying. It's like running into wild Zubats when I play Pokemon. Just don't want to deal with it. How did I get back? How did I... What? What up, Gavin? How is photosynthesis... Am I missing something here? How is photosynthesis related to... Oh, how is photosynthesis and cellular respiration connected with climate change? Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. Like, think about it this way: climate change is basically caused by, or is enhanced or increased by carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? And so, what do you know about a process like photosynthesis and cellular respiration in terms of like how CO2 is related, carbon dioxide is related to that? So what you should be thinking about is the more photosynthesis takes in CO2 from the atmosphere, cellular respiration puts carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So based on that, you should kind of realize that the more photosynthesis is going on, the less carbon dioxide is going to be in the atmosphere, and therefore cause climate change to decrease, right? And the climate to be more stable. And so climate change is related to carbon dioxide, and therefore it's related to photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Night, Geeta. Thanks for stopping in. It was nice seeing you. I'll see you tomorrow. Get some sleep. Nilkant, can you explain the limiting factors of plants in a jungle and a desert? So in a jungle, the limiting factor is light, because there's plenty of water and the temperature is high enough. And then in a desert, it's obviously the limiting factor is water, but there's plenty of light and the temperature is high enough. How is cellulose related to photosynthesis? Well, cellulose is a polymer of glucose that plants need to build their cell wall. And so when photosynthesis takes place and makes glucose, the cells can take that glucose and use it to make cellulose to help build their cell wall. Yes, Neil, carbon is good because it does help plants grow, but too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere actually causes the greenhouse gas effect, remember, and traps heat on Earth, causing more severe weather and climate changes, which is not such a good thing in the long run. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna get serious about this. Maybe I need a better weapon because I don't do any damage to this guy. missing? What up, student? Dang it. I was not paying attention right there. What's your question? Can I explain how certain conditions can affect the opening and closing of the stomata? Yeah, so basically, as the temperature increases, the stomata will close, right? Because of the loss of water. If it's too windy, the stomata will close. If it's too dry, not enough moisture, the stomata will close. All those things. Yeah, I'm doing terrible. Oops. Alright. Alright. I think I'd unable to beat this boss. I'm gonna do one more try. And then I'm going to call it a night, because I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, I want to get in bed by 10 tonight. Okay. Come on. Let's do this. Gavin, do cells perform mitosis because they need a balance between surface area and volume to prevent DNA? Yes, that is true. Yep, correct. How are carbohydrates and cellular respiration related? Cellular respiration uses carbohydrates like glucose to make ATP. That's how they're related. You need to start getting more critical hits. Got your questions answered, Gavin? Good. Always forget to react. What up, Rye? Use my items? I was trying to save it, but I think you're probably right. I should probably use them right now because I could get hit by 6 HP. The spider cider recovers me all the way. Let's use a bandage, just for now. I have the crab apple too. The crab apple is not great, it's only 10 HP. It's 18? Nice. You notice the camera angle change? Yeah, I switched it up. I'm gonna get a peek at my better side. Let's see, Neil Conth. Cells need small surface area to volume ratio since that helps the process go faster. Yes, that is correct. So if their surface area to volume ratio is smaller, things can move in and out of the cell faster, more efficiently. Alright. Let's use crab apple. Let's see how much this gives me. 18. You were right, Aditya. I feel like I have to do this so many times just to get used to the pattern. To almost memorize the attacks. Ooh, flawless. There we go. Need more of those. Alright, I'm gonna try. I think I can get away with one more. Actually, let me use my. I don't know how much I get with the Astro Food. 21, not bad. Because the Spider Cider gives me full HP. That's what I'm thinking. Dude, that was really tricky. No, hold on, not yet. I don't need to use that yet. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, guys. It's not looking good. Oh, that was a 90? I hit him for 90 right there? Whoa, I'm doing more damage now than I was before. Boom, 103. You think it's the Astro Food? I'm not sure why. Shoot, should I use the Spider Cider? Or should I do one more attack? I think I can survive 9, right? Is it worth risking? Alright, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna try one more attack and then use the Spider Cider. This is a risky move, though. I better not die here. Oh. Okay. He's so... Oh, this is an easy one, luckily. Oh, got it. I'm gonna use the item now. It's not worth risking. Oh, it doesn't do max HP. It was only 24. Good thing I used it. Alright, here we go. Gotta finish this. Is that it? No more weird. Sometimes this game throws weird attacks. You are stronger than I thought. So then, this is where it ends. No. No. I won't die. See, some Alphys, Asgore, Papyrus. Everyone is counting on me to protect them. Human. In the name of everybody's hopes and dreams, I will defeat you. Undyne looks determined. Oh, jeez. Come on, is that all you've got? Oh. Guys, I knew it. I knew there was something weird here. Undyne is smiling as if nothing is wrong. Look at his legs, though. It's starting to get weird down there. Pathetic. You're going to have to try harder than that. Undyne's body is wavering. This is a sad. This is kind of an interesting moment. The music is really making this like a crescendo, like something is building here. So see how strong we are when we believe in ourselves. He's getting weaker. Undyne's body is losing its shape. His attacks are slower now. Huh, hey. Had enough yet? Yeah, they're so slow now. Undyne's body. I won't give up. Ha, ha. Alphys, this is what I was afraid of. This is why I never told you. No, no, not yet. I won't die. Whoa. Oh gee. What? I won't die. I won't die. It's melting. Disintegrated. Is that it? Did I beat it? It's all quiet. Hey, what's up? I was just thinking, you, me, and Undyne should all hang out sometime. I think you would be great pals. Let's meet up at her house later. Click. Okay, sorry, I just killed Undyne. Welcome, team. Whoa. Now we're talking. It's a water cooler. Take a cup of water? Yes. You take a cup of water. Okay. What do I do with the water? The water evaporated from the heat. The cup evaporated too. Okay, I can save my game here. Wow. Whew. Well, that was fun. That was cool. This game's really... It's crazy how interesting that the guy who made this game made the game. For such a simple game, he like really took it to another level. Like creative ways. But I think I'm gonna call it a night. For sure. So, been nice. I will see everyone tomorrow. Back in action. I'll be braced up on my knee, but I'll be there. I'll be hobbling around. If you're an APES student and you're still watching, I'll see you tomorrow for the test. Bio students, I'll see you tomorrow for some review. Tuesday for the test, and then yeah. And if you're not any of my students yet or former student, I'll see you when I see you. Hobbling exactly how fast? Just like very slow. You know. All right, Mr. Chang, I'll look for your spirit in the air. I'll look for like a shimmer of air somewhere, and I'll be like, ah, Mr. Chang, your spirit is here. Either that or I'm just hallucinating. But thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. I know I've been out for 2 weeks, so I apologize for that. I hope it wasn't too confusing, too chaotic. I hope you feel ready for the tests this week. I know it's not the best timing. So, yeah. All right, my students. Been fun times. I'm gonna get some sleep. I will see y'all in the classroom. Peace. Nighty night.